Did you do something with her?
No.
Did you kidnap her?
No.
Did you sexually assault her?
I did not.
Did you murder her?
I did not. No, I did not.
Did you murder her?
I did not. I did not.
He lied. It was in his demeanor. It was in his body language. It was...
It was the early morning of July 5, 2011, in Fort Collins, Colorado. Thick black smoke billowed from a second-floor apartment, engulfing the cold night air. Suddenly, a figure shattered the glass door and plunged onto the concrete floor below. It was a 30-year-old woman, brutally beaten and drenched in bleach.
He did quite the job with the bleach.
I've watched enough, true crime stories and whatnot, but bleach means something.
She had just survived a lightning attack, and throwing herself to the ground was her only way out of being burned alive by a ruthless predator. But the nightmare had only just begun.
I stuck my hand out, said, appreciate it. We shook hands.
As the young girl struggles for her life in a deep coma, investigators uncover a chilling truth. The evil perpetrator had struck before, and what happens next will ignite outrage in anyone who hears this story. Let us rewind to March 31st, 2011, in Denver, Colorado. 19-year-old Kenia Monge was a bright young woman full of ambition and beautiful dreams. That night, she went out with her friends for a well-deserved break. But the next morning, she completely vanished without a single trace. Her stepfather, Tony Lee, felt a deep sense of dread. In the state of Colorado, law enforcement enforces a mandatory 72-hour waiting period before officially launching an investigation for an adult. Tony could not just sit and wait. Driven by pure desperation and a father's love, he took matters into his own hands.
I was looking at trash cans for her body, up and down the alleys all over her.
While aggressively scouring through her friends' phones, Tony found a chilling text message from an unknown number.
We see a text message from this guy named Travis.
And the message said, hey, this is Travis, the guy in the creepy white van, smiley face. Did you get home okay?
Furious, Tony set up a dangerous meeting with this mysterious Travis at a local gas station. His family called the police out of immense fear. Fortunately, officers intercepted them right on time, preventing immediate violence. Allowed to speak briefly, Tony stood face to face with the prime suspect. He cleverly offered his hand to see how the man would react. The police then casually checked the suspect's vehicle. They found no obvious physical evidence inside the van, but there was an overpowering, suffocating odor. Tony realized he was shaking the cold hand of the last person who saw Kenia alive. Does hearing about this terrifying encounter make your blood boil too? But what absolutely no one knew at that exact moment was the official investigation finally began, led by veteran Denver Police Detective Nash Garuli. Detectives quickly gathered security camera footage from a nearby apartment complex. The video clearly showed Kenia acting highly intoxicated, which was incredibly unusual behavior for a young girl who barely ever drank alcohol. Then, Garuli received an unexpected phone call from Travis's boss at the local bakery. She had been reviewing her own security tapes and noticed highly suspicious actions.
She sees him walk into the office after everybody leaves with long cleaning gloves, and he unplugs the recorder, and she just thought that was odd.
But his bizarre behavior did not stop there. The previous day, he brought a mysterious cooler inside.
He actually unloads the cooler, puts it on a little cart, and it's taped shut with black duct tape, and puts it into the freezer in the bakery. And there's employees walking around.
Furthermore, police found a barrel behind the bakery where things had been freshly burned. Despite being a prime suspect, Travis committed an act of ultimate audacity. He voluntarily appeared on live television to clear his name, painting himself as an innocent victim. During the intense news segment, the reporter pressed him with direct questions.
Since you're a person of interest, let me ask you this. Did you do something with her?
No.
Did you kidnap her?
No,
Did you sexually assault her?
I did not.
Travis replied, "I did not." However, as he spoke those exact words, his head was distinctly nodding yes. To make matters infinitely worse, he callously blamed Kenya for her own disappearance.
Everybody has their own choices, and she chose to walk off with this guy. And I can't blame myself for that. God, I'm sorry. This has been really emotional for me.
This absolutely bold statement left everyone completely speechless. I gotta be honest with you. Watching him play the victim on national television, while a family was agonizing in pain, is one of the most sickening things I have ever seen. Despite his glaring guilt, the police hit a massive dead end. They desperately needed a breakthrough. Investigators carefully collected multiple crucial material samples from the burned barrel and directly from his creepy white van. But the heavy, consistent use of chemical bleach had completely destroyed any traceable genetic evidence. Without having any concrete physical proof whatsoever, they were legally forced to let him go. Knowing the police were closely watching him, Travis attempted to flee the state completely. He immediately tried to run away to Texas. However, Garuli tracked him down and swiftly extradited him back to Colorado. Yet again, completely lacking tangible evidence to hold him, he walked free. Freed once more, Travis chillingly decided to pack up and move north to the city of Fort Collins, perfectly setting the terrifying stage for his very next crime. Let us shift our focus to Fort Collins, where 30-year-old Lydia Tillman was building a beautiful and fulfilling life. She was a highly successful wine company executive who had earned an incredible opportunity to advance her promising career overseas in Spain. However, Lydia made a deeply selfless choice. She gave up that grand dream and returned to her hometown for one heartbreaking reason.
My dad was recently diagnosed with cancer. So one of the reasons I moved back was to take care of him. Ended up quite the opposite.
This perfectly highlights her incredible heart and pure devotion to her lovely family in their deepest time of horrible need. Then came the fateful night of July 4th, flowing seamlessly into the very early hours of July 5th. Lydia was simply enjoying the city's spectacular fireworks display, feeling a wonderful sense of community and joy. But an unseen, ruthless predator was silently watching her every move from the shadows, tracking her steps with cruel intentions.
This is July 5th, 2011. I was walking home from the fireworks in Fort Collins, and a stranger followed me home. He pushed me into my home.
What ensued next was an absolutely horrifying blitz attack. The monster, Travis, violently forced his way inside and subjected her to unimaginable horror. According to police records, he beat her mercilessly, assaulted her violently, and ruthlessly choked her, trying to brutally end her bright life. The pure savagery of the terrifying struggle left her completely incapacitated and helpless on her own cold living room floor.
What followed was a brutal attack, rape. He tried to kill me. The only reason why he didn't is because of my strength and will.
Firmly believing he had successfully ended her life, Travis callously resorted to his signature, sickening method of erasing all physical evidence. He retrieved his terrifying weapon of choice. He poured gallons of heavy bleach completely over her severely battered body, desperately ensuring every single trace of his dark presence was washed away by the extremely harsh chemicals. To effectively finalize his highly sinister cover-up, he intentionally ignited a massive blaze, setting her entire apartment on fire to completely burn the remaining evidence to absolute ashes, hoping no one would ever discover the true horror. He casually walked away into the night, maliciously leaving her there to burn. This is exactly where the horrifying true crime story takes a dark turn. Inside that burning apartment, a sheer miracle of human will unfolded. Lydia regained consciousness surrounded by roaring flames and thick, suffocating smoke. The attacker had left her for dead, highly confident the violent fire would completely finish his gruesome work. But Lydia absolutely refused to die. Relying on pure, unadulterated survival instinct, she dragged her battered body toward the nearest exit. With the agonizing heat searing her skin, she made a terrifying choice. She forced herself out of the second-story window, plunging through the frigid night air and crashing heavily onto the unforgiving concrete below. It was a desperate leap for life. The physical toll of that horrible fall, combined with the initial savage beating, was absolutely catastrophic, according to the official medical and police reports. The impact completely shattered her jaw and fractured multiple ribs. But the horror did not stop at broken bones. The extreme physical trauma triggered a massive stroke within her fragile brain. Emergency responders rushed her to the hospital, where she quickly fell into a deep, medically induced coma. When the doctors finally assessed the severe damage, the prognosis was deeply devastating. The massive stroke had completely robbed her of her precious ability to move and totally erased her capacity to speak. She was trapped inside her own mind, a silent survivor of an unspeakable nightmare. Think about the sheer terror and the unimaginable willpower it took for her to survive. She sacrificed her own body, jumping onto concrete just to escape the flames. I am curious. How would you feel if this happened to someone you love, while Lydia fought a silent war for her life in that hospital bed? A dedicated team of forensic experts meticulously examined her extensive injuries. They knew the attacker had drenched her in heavy bleach specifically to destroy any tracing elements. Those harsh chemicals usually eradicate absolutely everything. But the forensics team found something truly incredible. Hidden away, defying both the bleach and the furious flames, they discovered foreign DNA. How did it survive? Because during the terrifying Blitz attack, Lydia did not just surrender to her cruel fate. She fought back with the incredible ferocity of a true brave warrior. In her desperate struggle, she reached out and clawed fiercely at her attacker, digging deep into his skin and capturing his biological material right under her fingernails. She had unknowingly secured the exact weapon needed to lock a vicious monster away forever. She saved herself, and she held the vital key to the entire complex investigation right in her own hands. Little did they know, this tiny but powerful piece of physical evidence was about to completely blow the entire horrifying case wide open for investigators. The pieces of this horrifying puzzle finally started coming together. Detective Jacqueline Shackley in Fort Collins realized she needed external help. She picked up the phone and called seasoned detective Nash Garuli down in Denver. She meticulously described the horrifying crime scene she had just witnessed. She detailed the sudden Blitz attack, the victim set on fire, and the overwhelming, unmistakable smell of heavy bleach clinging to the completely destroyed apartment. A heavy, dead silence hung on the other end of the telephone line. The terrifying reality washed over the veteran detective. After what felt like an absolute eternity, Garuli finally broke the freezing silence and whispered, "Oh my God, this is him." The authorities now knew exactly who they were dealing with, but knowing was simply not enough. They desperately needed hard, undeniable scientific proof to permanently lock the vile monster away safely behind solid prison walls. The crucial DNA swab safely collected from beneath Lydia's torn fingernails was securely sent to the state crime laboratory, but the highly complex testing process would undoubtedly take 1 full week to complete. It was a terrifying, frantic race against time. The primary suspect, Travis, was still freely walking the open streets of Fort Collins. The truly terrifying part was that undercover surveillance teams actively watched him approaching other innocent young women. The dedicated police deeply needed to get him right off the streets before he brutally claimed another tragic victim. In a brilliant, tactical move, the watchful officers found a tiny legal loophole. When formally approached, Travis gave them a completely fake name. The police immediately jumped on this arrogant mistake and arrested him for the minor offense of false reporting. It was a rather flimsy excuse, but it successfully put him directly behind cold iron bars while investigators anxiously waited for the critical lab results. But the heavy clock was relentlessly ticking down. The minor charge could legally hold him inside for only so long. By exactly 10:30 p.m. on that extremely tense Monday night, his formal release paperwork was fully processed. The cunning predator was literally standing at the main threshold, fully preparing to bond out and vanish completely into the dark night, but right in the very final, truly agonizing moments before his anticipated release. The telephone at the front precinct desk rang loudly. It was the state crime lab calling them back. The submitted DNA match was 100% confirmed. The official arrest warrant for attempted murder was instantly issued, violently slamming the heavy steel cell doors, firmly shut just in time. What truly struck me the absolute most was how chillingly close he came to walking out of those jail doors and disappearing forever. Now securely behind bars, the monster faced formal interrogation. Detective Jacqueline Shackley bravely attempted to interview him, but he arrogantly refused to speak with her. However, he told the guards he would only talk to Detective Nash Garuli. The Denver detective made the long journey to the Fort Collins jail, stepping into the cold interrogation room to face the cornered predator once and for all. Garuli desperately wanted one specific thing above all else: to bring Kenya Monge home to her deeply grieving family. Cornered by the undeniable forensic evidence originating strictly from Lydia's brave fight, Travis instantly knew his legal options were running out. To completely avoid the very real threat of the death penalty, he finally agreed to an official plea deal. He would coldly trade the tragic location of the 19-year-old girl's remains for his own miserable life. He callously led a convoy of tense investigators out to a remote, desolate grove of trees in Keenesburg. Walking up to a small, unremarkable ravine, the remorseless killer pointed directly at the dry dirt and chillingly told the quiet detective, "You are standing right on top of her." Back inside the interrogation room, the full, horrifying truth poured out. According to his official court testimony, he clearly admitted to seeing Kenya heavily intoxicated that fateful March night. He deceitfully lured her into his white van. While she lay completely unconscious, he horribly violated her. Suddenly, she woke up and instantly realized the terrible danger she was in. She bravely fought back against him, fiercely striking him in a truly desperate bid for absolute freedom. But her heroic physical resistance deeply enraged him, and he brutally strangled the life out of her. His sickening cover-up was methodically evil. He stuffed her lifeless body inside a large plastic cooler and casually wheeled it directly into the freezer at the commercial bakery where he worked. Later, he took her out, completely stripped off all her clothing, and drenched her entire body in thick bleach to destroy any evidence before finally burying her in the cold earth. He detailed his horrific crimes, but only traded his confession to save his own life. Drop your take in the comments. Am I missing something, or is this the ultimate act of a coward? The terrifying truth of the bleach monster was finally forced out completely into the very open. The utterly devastated families finally had their incredibly agonizing answers, and the entirely cold-blooded killer was securely chained, seemingly ending the unimaginably long, extremely dark nightmare for everyone who was personally involved in this heartbreaking tragedy that spanned across those two separate cities forever. No one could have predicted what happened next. In early September of the year 2011, the highly anticipated historic courtroom sentencing hearing officially took place. The heavy tension in the air was incredibly thick. Dedicated local police officers, the deeply grieving family members of innocent Kenya, and the heartless, cruel monster himself were all physically present. But the absolutely most powerful, inspiring presence inside that massive, somber room was Lydia Tillman. Just 2 short emotional days after finally being safely discharged from the medical hospital, she bravely arrived seated quietly in a wheelchair. Because she had entirely lost her precious human ability to verbally speak right after the massive stroke, she relied completely upon an electronic tablet to actively communicate with the entire quiet court. Despite her overwhelmingly severe physical bodily limitations, she spent 1 full agonizing hour painstakingly carefully typing out an incredibly profound, deep victim impact statement just so her incredibly loving father could clearly read it aloud for her. As her father firmly stood before the listening judge, he boldly delivered her truly untouchable message straight to her evil attacker. "You caused me no harm. My spirit, my soul, my mind remain untouched. May you find peace in this life." And then came the ultimate final sentence that completely left absolutely not one single dry eye anywhere inside that quiet courtroom. "Travis Forbes, I forgive you." Justice was rightfully served that historic day. The judge firmly sentenced him to life in prison without any legal possibility of parole for killing Kenya, adding 48 consecutive years for brutally attacking Lydia. He will forever rot inside a tiny cold cage, ultimately dying in prison. Afterward, the mourning family members emotionally embraced Lydia, beautifully cementing their unbreakable spiritual bond forever. Tony Lee channeled his endless grief into creating an amazing charitable foundation, specifically built to actively help other families desperately searching for their missing loved ones. Lydia miraculously overcame her devastating medical injuries. She pushed relentlessly onward and eventually became a highly successful yoga teacher, fully reclaiming her stolen personal peace. I could not stop thinking about her incredibly remarkable and completely awe-inspiring resilience. Finally, after many incredibly long and utterly devastating months of completely unimaginable physical and emotional pain, true justice was rightfully served at long last. The horrible monster was rightfully locked away forever inside a tiny concrete cage, and these deeply broken families could finally begin to properly heal. What do you guys think about this entire tragic story? Does this ending bring you any sense of deep relief? Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Your feedback means absolutely everything to me. Stay tuned for more true crime stories. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Goodbye.